Working with our sizes and our fold and our grids. Selecting the largest mobile size to kick things off. Just to note that you can see this artboard has been highlighted blue. That means that artboard is currently active, or we're actively working on that. If I click away, you can see everything is grayed out. So in case you're wondering where some of those features might be, it might just be because you're not actually clicked within the actual artboard. So what we're going to work with first is our mobile size. When it comes down to looking over at our transform, if we haven't touched anything, we should have the size that it's already been set out, which is the iPhone Pro Max, 430 wide by 932 high. Things we do not want to do, not touch the width. We need to ensure our width is currently the same, but I should preface by saying when we're working with our full screen. The width we do not want to change because we want to ensure that that stays consistent, but what we can do is go ahead and lengthen that. So we might want to lengthen our artboard if we have our page scrolling, anything like that. You can go ahead and adjust that height. Again, the width we do not want to touch at this time. What we see when we end up going out and moving that to be beyond the 932 that it's been set up, we see that little blue bar show up. So we see a little blue dotted line show up with a little handle here. What this is referred to is the fold. So anything above this line is what will be visible when we first land on the site. Anything below that will need to be scrolled to see. So this little bar, we want to ensure we are absolutely not touching. So if we go ahead and we move this down to low, if I press play to get a visual, it's currently showing this as my home screen. We don't want that to happen. That's not how long our phone screen is. If I go ahead and move that back to the 932, go ahead and press play. That's giving us a much more realistic visual as to what that phone or what that home screen is going to look like in its real-time size. So we'll just go ahead and undo that and just go back to our main page or our landing page. Working with our grid. So again, we have to be in the artboard. We have transform and we have grid. We want to make sure it's on layout, not on square. We can go ahead and turn that on. The hotkey to turn that on and off is Command-Shift-. And that's how you bring that on and off into a visual. So I'm going to give you folks some numbers that are recommended to work in your grid. We're going to work, as always recommended, it should be an even number when you're working with a grid. That's in print, that's in desktop, that's in mobile. So we're going to go with a 6-column grid. My gutter width is the space between my columns. I'm going to go ahead and set that to 15. 10 is a little bit low, so that means if I am sitting and I'm placing my content, I do have a little bit of extra breathing room between those pieces. If the gutter width is too small, your elements just end up being a little bit too close. So here they're a little bit too close. Let's bring that to 15. And now suddenly we can add a little bit of breathing room there. Make sure those are snapping back to there. A little bit of extra breathing room. Those tiny details, I promise you, will make a big difference. So our numbers start to auto adjust once we start placing things in here. So if you prefer to have a wider margin here, so between on the left and right side, you can leave that at 36. You can adjust it so it's a little bit smaller so you can take stuff over to your edges a bit more. I went ahead and adjusted that over to 27, and you can see the second you do that, everything starts to adjust. So my column width adjusts because it's accommodating for a little less space on the sides. So we can see that we'll adjust those. And there you have it, folks, working with the fold and our grid.